All right, what's going on? Let's play a little do they stay or do they go? Does one stay and only one go, or do they both stay or do they both go? As you know, the Giants stink. We have stunk for a while. This regime is going backwards like it seems, and ever since Daniel Jones was released, the Giants can't win a game. They are 0-8 at home. That's a franchise record. They have lost 9 straight games, but we don't need to get into specifics. We know this team is terrible. It was put together by a horrible, horrible GM with Dave Gettleman. Then he turned the keys over to Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, and it looks like the team has gotten worse in the last 3 years than it did when Dave Gettleman was general manager for the New York Football Giants. But let's get into it. A lot of people want their heads, Joe Schoen, Brian Daboll, to be fired. They are unhappy with the way this team has been the last couple years. Seems like we're going backwards when we should be going forward. We thought we improved the offensive line. We thought we did something to change injuries. Nope, same guy still there, Ronnie Barnes. But I'll talk about that guy a little later because it's not his fault why we stink, but he damn sure ain't helping the injuries. But let's get into it. First case, Joe Schoen. Does he stay or does he go? A lot of people think Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are tied to the hip, that they are a package deal. I don't think that's the case. I have a lot of good friends. I have a lot of good best friends. If one of my best friends was not performing well and my boss told me, hey, it's either you or him, sorry, man, I'll still see you on the cookout, but I'm keeping my job because I have a family to feed as well. And I'm sure you will be right back on your feet, either a coordinator or another head coach somewhere else, whether it's college or the NFL. But let's get into it. Joe Schoen, this is his 3rd full year being the general manager for the New York Giants. He was an assistant GM for Brandon Beane in Buffalo. They were very successful together, drafting Josh Allen, leading them to the AFC Championship game, losing to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. But let's get into it. His first draft, the year 2022. He drafted Kayvon Thibodeau with the 5th overall pick. Right now, I'd say he's a Evan Neal, 7th overall pick, 2 picks after Kayvon, bust. Wan'Dale Robinson, they should have picked George Pickens. Joshua Ezekiel, another pick in the 3rd round, bust. Cordell Flott, Daniel Bellinger, bust. Dane Belton, bust. Micah McFadden, 5th round pick, 146th pick in the draft. He's looking like a good guy. He's looking like a steal. I like him. He plays hard. He's a very, very good tackler and has good ball skills. DJ Davidson, 5th round pick, bust. Marcus McKeithen, I believe he was dropped, bust. And Darian Bevers was very promising. His rookie offseason got hurt, tore his ACL, never was the same. He was cut last year in camp. So the 2022 draft, it had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 picks. And it looks like Kayvon and Wan'Dale are, the rest of them busts. Year 2023, the following year, Deonte Banks with the 24th pick, coming off a playoff victory against the Vikings in the wild card round. The Giants select corner from Maryland, Deonte Banks, benched for lack of hustling, lack of playing. John Michael Schmitz, bust. Horrible center. I don't think he's good at all. Time will tell. Jalen Hyatt doesn't even see the field. Not better than Darius Slayton. Bust. Eric Gray can't hold on to the ball. Can't kick return. Can't punt return. Can't run the ball without fumbling. Bust. Trey Hawkins had a pretty good game the last game he played. Then he suffered a very bad fractured lumbar spine injury. Hopefully he will be okay and can come back next year. But as of now, bust. Jordan Riley doesn't play much. Bust. Javarius Owens, I don't believe he is on the team anymore. At pick 254, he is a bust, which is okay for a 7th rounder. So we just had our first 2 drafts for Joe Schoen, and out of those drafts, he has no hits. One maybe with Kayvon and Wan'Dale, and maybe a hit on Micah McFadden, a 5th round steal. Let's look into this draft. The draft that everyone's saying he had a A+ draft. Malik Neighbors, stud. Tyler Newman, he looks like he's going to be the real deal when he has a good defensive coach. Andrew Phillips, very good slot corner. Theo Johnson, stud. Hopefully he comes back healthy. Tyrone Tracy Jr., arguably the steal of the draft in that year. 5th round pick, the running back. And then Darian Musau, I guess good special teamer. So those are Joe Schoen's draft picks 3 years worth for the general manager job as the New York Giants GM. He also traded for Brian Burns. He also signed Devin Singletary, Paris Campbell, who stinks. He's now in the Eagles. He let Xavier McKinney go, Julian Love go, traded Leonard Williams, let Saquon walk. He could have traded all these guys. He traded Big Cat. I like what we got in return for him. But he could have traded or signed the other guys. Now Saquon, obviously, thriving in Philly, likely going to the Super Bowl. So that's Joe Schoen's resume. Let's take a look at Brian Daboll, former coach of the year, rookie head coach, one coach of the year, led his team to the playoffs in his first year and won a road playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, all to then get crushed by our division foe, the Philadelphia Eagles, in the divisional round. But let's see, 2022, first year, made the playoffs, record of 9-7-1. We averaged 21.5 points per game. The following year, last year, down year with injuries to Daniel Jones, 6-11. We averaged 15.6 points per game. And then this year, 2024, when we had a stud rookie receiver, a number one for Daniel Jones and Blake Neighbors, a good, decent offensive line, Jermaine Lemonor, John Runyon Jr., 14.9 points per game. So if you want to look at who is a problem and who should stay, who should go, the resume tells you Joe Schoen is better than Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll's a good coach. This roster is lacking talent. The last 2 drafts not hitting on any of those guys, really. Horrible. Hitting on maybe Malik Neighbors and Andrew Phillips and Tracy, that's decent, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't mean shit when the previous draft picks classes fucking sucked. I just don't know how the losing continues. Obviously, we want them to lose, but I just don't know how you can bring these 2 guys back, especially with the pick that you're likely going to have, either the first or second overall. Hopefully, we better not fuck around and beat Atlanta this Sunday and go down to fucking 7 or 8. But I just don't know how you can justify bringing these guys back and have them pick and make a huge selection for a number 1 overall quarterback. I don't, in a quarterback class that is really only 2 guys. I don't know how you can do it. And what happens if they have a bad year? They're likely going to have a bad year with a rookie quarterback unless you're able to sign a bridge, maybe Darnold for a year. I don't know. There's not many good free agents out there. Justin Fields. But, I mean, you got to fire both. You got to just start over. If you're going to fire one, just fire both. Let this new regime figure it out. They have an opportunity to get a quarterback. Let this regime pick their quarterback. Not the current one, the new one that you're going to bring in when these guys are fired. I just don't know how you keep them around. And I do like Brian Daboll as a head coach, but the offense is getting worse. The talent has gotten better. The points were scored less. It's just a bad, horrible, horrible year. Fire both of them. Let me know your thoughts. Do both stay? Do both go? Do they get fired? Does one stay? Does one keep its job? Does one go? Are you going to decide? If you're John Mara, what is your decision? At the last game of the year, you have Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll sitting in front of you. Your decision. Do they stay? Do they go? Does one stay? Let me know your thoughts. As always, let's go G-Men.